Yo, 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 what's good, YouTube? What's good? It's Stormy B, man, and I am back welcoming you to another Tuesday tussle for this Tuesday, December 8th, 2020. And we're calling this one Cutting Off the Ring. That's right, cutting off the ring. And I want to just say salute to everybody that's out there in the chat listening. For those of you that will catch this on replay, and for those that's still out there peeping through the blinds and peeping through the bushes, they still ain't ready to step out into the spotlight and let it be known that they support Stormy B Man and his Tuesday tussle, because we out here wrestling over the subject of boxing and how it's applicable to your life in and outside the ring. So, want to welcome everybody that's out there. We are here for another bout of the tussle. It's getting close to Christmas, brothers and sisters, and I know that everybody has something on their wish list, and we should wish for some better matchups in 2021. 2020 was okay as far as boxing, but we want to get back and get down to the nitty and the gritty of the sport of boxing, where we can see more of the best fighting the best. And this metaphor of cutting off the ring, you know, we can head the BS off at the pass as well and force these guys in there to get the job done. You know what I'm saying? So, with no further ado, we're going to get on into it, man. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that you all are here as well. And, hey, it is what it is. You know, we're going to talk a little boxing, and we're going to talk about cutting off the ring. Let's see who we got out here. Those who have decided to rock with Stormy B Man this evening. Let's see. We got the Watcher is out there. He says, salute, hit the like button. Like, subscribe, and share to Stormy B Man. Yes, sir. Shade Girl is out there. She says, salute, Stormy B Man. Salute to you, sister. Good to see you. Mike 202 is out there. Says, salute, Sensei. And Ramsey Suiton III says, this about to be a good one. Y'all up and coming fighters should take notes. Peace to the chat. Salute to the trill. Hashtag LDBC. Hashtag Bomb Squad. Hashtag till this day. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And he says, as Stormy B Man, salute. And Eric R is out there, says, hey family, and salute as Stormy B Man. Willie Beecham says, perfect timing, glad to be here. And CB Sports TV, my brothers out there, says salute. Big homie Coop out there also saying salute. Charles Granger, good to see you back. He says salute, cool background. Thank you very much, brother. And you know, that's what it's all about over here with Stormy B Man. Gotta, you know, set the mood right, get the environment right, because we in here talking boxing, and we gotta lay it all out for you, man. That's what it's about. If you didn't know, you better ask somebody. Stormy B Man always got something good for you as we get to it. God Body Sports and News says salute to the Grandmaster, it's Stormy B Man. Also, the Sensei. Don't forget that one, God Body, because that's my own creation there. The Sensei, duded by way of Trap House Boxing, who was the first to recognize Stormy, and he meshed the boxing and the foo, and he came up with Sensei. So yeah, man, we out here this evening. We're going to talk about cutting off the ring. Cutting off the ring in boxing, heading the opponent off at the pass, closing the opponent's options down, keeping things at a minimum as far as limiting options, man. That's what essentially cutting off the ring is. But it is so much more too, because as you begin to limit the opponent's options, you are applying pressure to their reaction to what's transpiring in the ring. Just like when they cut off that check that you was laying around receiving and you wasn't working for it, and they said, oh, the benefit's running out, so you're going to have to get on up and go out there and try to get something. And you say, dang, you know, the mailbox is empty, I can't get it, so they cut me off, huh? Yeah, that's what happens. They limit your options. So now you got to get up and roll the sleeves up and go to work. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So when you're cutting the ring off on the opponent, you rolling the sleeves up, you're about to go to work, and you're going to make them go to work. So it's hat in hand and hand in hat. That's what it's all about, man. Working out in the gym with fighters and they're sparring in their sparring sessions. One of the things you have to continue to remind the fighters to do as they move around in the ring, you don't want them just circling. You don't want them just darting in and out around one another. You want them to move with purpose, okay? If you're being offensive, cutting off the ring is a natural part of what you're looking to do to the opponent as you slide forward, shuffle forward, even glide forward and around your opponent. You want to make certain that you're doing it with precision. You want to make sure you're doing it with alertness, okay? But also you're watching the opponent's reaction, okay? Because one of the things that fighters are always taught is keep your back off the ropes. You feel that distance between you and the ropes behind you. You are supposed to be able to anticipate that and make your move to get up out of there. But when you have someone that's limiting your options and looking to head you off at the pass by cutting off the ring, what happens is you may have to tie the guy up, you may have to clinch, you may have to do something to turn the opponent to get yourself up out of there. But a seasoned fighter who knows their way around the ring will often look to make a move it's almost like a feint. You make a move so you can get out of that situation where they're cutting the ring off and get back to a point where your options are greater. The center of the ring is the place where your options are most valued, because from that you have a certain amount of space to work side to side and backing up, and that gives you time to execute your movement, execute your punches, to get yourself in a position to do something to the opponent without necessarily looking to clinch, grab, tie up, things of that nature. Most fighters, to be honest, don't naturally like to stay in the center of the ring. You will see there are fighters who will put themselves in what I call peril, which is where they limit their options. If you go back to the fight that we just had this past weekend between Errol Spence and Danny Garcia, you'll notice from the bell ringing from the onset of that fight, when the fighters walked out from their corners, Danny Garcia's first option was to move away. To move away. Now, I'm going to tell you something. When you do things like that, it sends a signal. Now, the fighter may not necessarily understand this. Even casual fans may not necessarily understand this. But the signal that's being sent is that you are looking to either react to whatever the opponent is doing. You're hesitant to what you might need to do. You don't necessarily feel confident in what you need to do. And all of this data to an experienced one, whether it's the fighter or opponent that you're facing or his corner, okay, you've revealed something about yourself. And it is up to that opposing corner and up to that opposing fighter to take that information and use it against you. Now, if you come out from that bell ringing and you're walking out toward one another and someone decides to step around or to circle, that's not the same thing, you see, because now you may be angling to get yourself in a position to do something offensively, but that stepping back and going back toward the ropes and retreating, that right there is not necessarily the message you want to send to the so-called champion that you're challenging and call yourself in the ring there to try to take his title away. The message that should be sent is I'm planting my stake in the ground right here. What you gonna do? Because this is what I'm bringing. Quite often you don't see that between guys, but it is something that it transpires immediately. I've often spoke about when kids are in the gym and you've been teaching them and they get in the ring to spar. It could be for the very first time. A lot of times the nature of the kid will be revealed based and contingent upon their action or reaction once that bell rings. Sometimes you'll get a guy that'll run on out there across the ring at the other guy. Sometimes you'll get one who will move around a little bit, kind of like moving their hands and moving their head, doing what they've been taught. And then you'll have that one that might hold their gloves up and kind of just stand there. And lastly, you'll have that one who they walk out there and then they back up. All of those are keys to the temperament of who you're talking about. So when you're talking about these professional fighters being out there and going after one another and going out to execute a plan, a lot is being revealed straight off the bat, just like that. You see, and that type of revelation contingent upon who you're talking about. If it's your guy doing any of that, you need to know the instructions to build upon. If it's your guy doing what I consider the lesser of that, which would be the retreating, you have to be able to convince them of what they need to do as far as being counterproductive. Because backing up and backing away is not necessarily what you want to give. Remember, it's about controlling the real estate, and cutting the ring off is about limiting the opponent's options. How are you limiting their options when you're giving ground, when you're allowing them in your front door? Isn't that why you have a door to begin with? It's a cutoff point. I'm in here, you're out there. I close this door, you're on the outside. I open the door and I step back, you can walk in. So this is something that you have to remember when you're talking about the fighters doing what they do, why they do what they do, and how that they can come about to be successful in what they do. We have tremendous examples throughout the history of the sport of when the ring gets cut off and it is cut successfully. The fighter that's doing that, that's creating a means of limiting your options, they can come on like a wave. Most recently, we had this fight that took place between Joe Joyce and Danny Dubois. In that fight, Danny Dubois came out like gangbusters, looking to jump on top of Joe Joyce, throwing hard punches, trying to swarm him, so to speak, and back him up with his physicality. Once Joe Joyce found himself at a place where he could see things that were coming, he could block, he could take care of himself, he didn't retreat. He started to circle. He started to give an angle. And instead of cutting the ring off, Danny was just coming right in on a straight line. And Joyce's answer to that was to punch back. But as he was punching back, Dubois' quickness and his aggression made Joyce miss some of those shots that he was looking to land as Dubois was coming in. So he began to fall back upon the most simple of weapons, and that was his jab. And once he started popping that jab, and Dubois abandoned his own jab, meaning not working his way in behind the jab to probe, to seek and find range and things of that nature, just looking to jump in with his power and everything, he started running into a deterrent. And Joyce's jab was the deterrent. This happened early in the rounds, and it happened to such a manner that most people wasn't aware of how this was going to turn the bout around in Joyce's favor. But upon closer look, you could see that Dubois, burning the energy from the beginning and onset, he was beginning to get tired before the end of the round, you see. And so as you get to like a minute and a half to like a minute left in the round, his options were becoming limited because that jab was that deterrent, and then Joyce giving an angle and began to start moving forward behind the jab. Okay? And as Dubois would either move left or right, if he moved left, Joyce moved to his right. If he moved right, Joyce moved to his left. But everything was coming behind the jab, cutting the ring off, limiting Dubois' options. It's a sweet science, people. We talk about it all the time, but not until we explain it and break it down in this manner do you get the chance to see what that means. Okay, because you're looking at so many different things when you're watching a fight, right? You're looking to see who's tired. You're looking to see who's getting the better shots in. You're looking to see who's out physicaling the other guy, and that kind of thing. But Stormy is looking at something else. Okay, he's looking at something else. He's looking at the psychological effect that's transpiring, because when a man starts to get tired, he starts to tell you who he really is in the ring. Okay? And also in real life. Because when you get tired of something, someone worrying on your nerves or whatever, right? What do you do sometimes? You erupt. You look to check them, put them in their place, go off on them, so to speak. And those are the type of circumstances that in the ring, you have to do it in a physical manner, also from a mental perspective and psychological perspective, under controlled aggression. Now that sounds like a lot, but it's not. Because all you have to do is be calm, be patient, and under fire, you can see. When the other guy doesn't have that and his temperament is not the same, they get foggy. Okay, because their mind is going 100 miles an hour, and so the natural response is to lash out at you, to just start throwing some shots at you or something like that. But that's not always the best thing to do, but that's the most physical thing that they could think of at that moment on the spot, and that's how they want it. But see, The battle is halfway won now. And remember, as the round goes on, fatigue sets in more. So sliding to the left when that guy is moving to his right, sliding to the right when that guy is moving to his left, and inching closer and closer. And you dropping a shot on him here, you dropping a shot on him there, and you making certain that you touch him. Touch him. You don't always have to land your hardest shot. You know, you touch him. You make sure he's in range. Because when you want to throw that real hard shot, you want to make sure that shot lands solidly. So you have to close that distance. And you close that distance. You look to get a guy in what I call the triangle. That's where the ring apron and the ring post meet in your corner, where you would sit down, or the neutral corner, which is, you know, the next corner over. If you catch that guy within that triangle, his options are extremely limited there. He can step once or twice to the left or once or twice to the right, and he may not be able to go any further, because just 5 feet out from him, you can close that gap. And now all of a sudden his mind is really racing. Now all of a sudden he's like, oh, so what's the natural thing to do? Reach out and grab. Tie you up. Try to turn you around, so now your back is in there and their back is toward the center of the ring. And they don't always turn you around to get you in that position to work on you. They turn you around to get you in that position so they can get back out where it's clear and there's more space to maneuver. Danny Garcia did that a lot against Earl. Okay, Earl just kept coming on, and Danny was looking for space. But being a fighter that has good defensive posture, meaning knowing how to put his hands in position to block, parry, slip, those things, Danny should have relished Earl coming in close, because that's the time when you could put hands on him, but Danny looked to move away. So his temperament was not proper in those moments. Something about feeling pressure, something about feeling not as confident, okay, could have played a role in that. But if you've trained for it, if you've practiced it for weeks and weeks on end in your camps, you're supposed to be able to try to execute that in the fight. But when you don't even try to execute it, there's something psychological going on there. And that's not a put down, that's a revelation of things, what you need to work on. And see, cutting off the ring is a beautiful thing for aggressive natured fighters. Fighters whose temperament is to be safety first, they may not necessarily have that mental approach about cutting the ring off, but they do have the mental approach how to counter someone trying to cut off the ring. Therefore, they're trying to think 2 steps ahead. If I'm going to back up this way and he's sliding over there, I'm a yang, let something loose on him and get out the other way. Again, it's a deterrent. Just like I spoke about Joyce using that jab against Dubois as a deterrent, this is the same thing right here, where you're in that situation, but you're getting off so you can get away. That's how that works. There have been numerous fighters in the history of boxing that have done a tremendous job of cutting the ring off on opponents. Rocky Marciano comes to mind. And, there are other fighters who had great footwork who could move in and out. You had guys like Ezra Charles, Jersey Joe, Archie Moore. Joe Louis was very good at cutting the ring off. Joe would do that little shuffle and he'd be in that little bit of a crouch, and he could take 2 steps and he's within range to punch you. You take a step back, the next step he's taking is a step with a punch. Okay, if you're sliding left or right, he's gonna shuffle left or right, but he's also gonna meet you with a punch. See, men like Joe Louis, they knew how to punch and step at the same time. Very rare do you see those fighters of that age waste shots. If they're in range to touch you, by the time they let their hands go, they're going to be hitting you somewhere. Rare do you see those guys missing shots, like looping and he missed you by a mile, that kind of thing. No, it's going to land somewhere, even if it's on your arms, your shoulders, your chin, your chest, solar plexus. And Lewis had a short punch, 6 to 8 inch punch. He could knock you to the devil with that. And again, with speed, thrown with proper power and leverage, a fight could come to an abrupt end just from him having cut that ring off and cut your options down. Excellent fighter doing that. There's another fighter from a modern time, and I was talking about this recently, and I wanted to bring that fighter out to light, and that would be Marvelous Marvin Hagler, man. Hagler was a guy who could really cut the ring off on his opponents. He did it in a manner of which it's like workmanlike, huh? And I have here some clips from, his fight against John the Beast Mugabe, who was a knockout puncher and who looked to cut the ring off on his opponents because he was knocking everybody out. And in the fight with Hagler, he found that as he tried to cut the ring off on Hagler, Hagler relished being in close with him. And he couldn't figure out, why is this man standing there when everybody else either try to move and get away or whatever? But see, that's where the work gets done. Hagler's temperament wasn't to move away. It was to move inside and get closer where he can get his shots off too. The Beast wasn't accustomed to that. Now, he still was a powerful puncher and still could get his shots off most effectively. But Hagler was up to the task and could take a shot himself. And you could see it here. Look at the distance that's between the two men. Now, the Beast was, like I said, accustomed to cutting the ring off on other opponents and foes. And as he did so, they would be looking to get out of the way of his power. Hagler wasn't worried about his power. Hagler was worried about what Hagler wanted to do. You see what I'm saying? The difference, and that's why I explained earlier in this conversation and discussion that the temperament of the fighter states a great deal. Now, once the Beast landed shots, now look at that tremendous uppercut he hit Hagler with, and he realized, oh, this man ain't going nowhere. Pressure, mental pressure, because I've hit him with other stuff I hit him with stuff that made other foes go away. And this man is still there. And he's trying to take my head off at the same time. Pressure. Now it's time to give ground, right? I got to move back a little bit. Maybe I can run him into something because he's hitting me back. Huh? And Hagler starts stepping over to land a body shot, stepping to the outside to land a hook. I mean, we're talking about the science of this here. As you watch it, you could see Hagler breaking him down. Mentally first, physically second. Spiritually in the end. Because in the end, he didn't want any more. Beautiful thing when you talk about how a man works. And you look at Hagler rocking and rolling with his shots, but Mugabe missed a shot or two, Hagler steps in off of that, cutting the ring off, cutting his options down, making it where Mugabe got to move faster than he wants to move, throw more punches than he want to throw, or throw them faster than he wants to throw them, so he's not getting the proper leverage on them, he's not getting the proper power on them. And what's happening? Fatigue. Remember me saying that at the beginning? When you make them move faster than they want to move, when you make them go away, when you make them, you limit those options, all of that starts with mental fatigue. This is what we're talking about here. You see? And again, over a period of time, with an experienced fighter like Hagler, it was something to watch. But Hagler wasn't the only one, but he's the person that I'm using in this example right here because he did it in a manner of which it appeared like he was brawling, but he wasn't. He knew he had to receive some contact to get in his most effective shots. But like I said, to be able to evade some of the beast shots and then after evading them, stepping right in there, getting closer. Notice the exchanges. When the beast does something, Hagler comes right back with something else, but he steps in with his. Look at how the beast is taking steps back to try to throw shots, and Hagler is stepping in with his. Who is the more effective? Look at it. Who is the more effective? You have to understand, in boxing, you're going to get hit, right? You just try not to get hit too cleanly and in dangerous areas. The liver, the solar plexus, the chin, the side of the head where over the ear, that temple area. You're trying to do those things to not be in peril, okay? And then what did I say earlier also about the holding? When you get too close against guys and next thing you know, they want to hold, they want to grab, huh? The mental submission there. But this was Hagler doing his thing. One of the best to do it, you see? But as I talk about this, everything I stated before I even showed that clip, you know, you saw it in there. You saw examples of it with that wonderful champion, Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Salute to Big Dose 513 out there in the chat. He says, salute Stormy B, man. Congratulations on over 1,000 subs, family. Thank you so much for that, Big Dose. You've been a tremendous help to me, and I really appreciate your support. And hey, man, let's go for another K. You know, Stormy is out here, man. I'm in it to win it, man. In it for the long haul. That's what it's all about. This subject tonight, cutting off the ring, is such an onion to have layers peeled. It's not as simple as people think, but yet and still it is. But as far as fighters are concerned, it can mean the difference between being tremendously effective or ineffective. And to talk about the ineffectiveness, we need to go no further than just this past weekend watching Danny Garcia challenge Errol Spence Jr. So when we talk about that and we give those type of examples, it's imperative to understand that's what that is about. You know, there was another fighter that I had here that I wanted to bring out into this. And this gentleman here was one of the best to do it as well. Just like Hagler actually fought over that era that Hagler fought. And this would be Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. Another guy who could come in there and apply pressure to his opponents when guys had athleticism, when guys had great footwork, when guys had punching power. Chavez found a way to counter all of that. He was not the most talented guy, but like Hagler, he, being a smaller man, of course, had the heart, had the will, and had technical ability that would suffice, and a chin as well, to get in there. You look at this movement by this man. Did you see him slip to the right of Haugen to drop the liver shot? You know, that movement to the left. He cut the ring off. Haugen was moving that way. You see Haugen is trying to go to his right, and Chavez is lighting him up with that left hook to the liver. You see, now what Haugen was supposed to do is pump some jabs and move out to the left, but he didn't. He moved right into Chavez's lead power hand. And why? Because Chavez threw a right hand that was a straight right hand. He threw a right hand lead that was like a jab, and then he also would throw a looping right hand. All three punches that Danny Garcia was throwing at Earl Spence Jr. on the night that they fought, but he wasn't as effective because he didn't believe in himself. He didn't have that indomitable will like a Chavez to go out there and do what's necessary. Yeah, you might catch a few, but if you make him catch a few, somebody is going to make the determination of, I don't want to catch too many of those anymore. You see? And you look at this, and you can see there are a number of fighters that were more athletic than Chavez, had good footwork and great footwork, but he was able to cut that ring off. And see right here where he's stopping the opponent is an area near that triangle that I talk about, where the ring apron is and the corner post comes together. That's a dangerous area. Here we have he and Roger Mayweather. And you can see Roger is trying to, weather the storm here. Instead of stepping on the outside and moving around, circling, he's backing straight up. And Chavez doesn't have to cut the ring when he backs straight up. All he has to do is chase him with lead or straight punches. When you go back in the straight line, straight punches should follow you right on your chin and finish you off. That's what that's about. And see here, Roger, you see how much of the ring space that is behind Roger and how he's not utilizing it with lateral movement or circling? This is one of the reasons why Chavez had so much trouble with Sweet Pea Whitaker. Sweet Pea understood geography, and he could dip under your shot and turn you in a circle, either left or right. He was a master at both directions. And as long as your feet, you've got to pick your feet up, you can't cut the ring. Okay, under those instances, you have to reset and reevaluate and reassess. In the process of doing all that, he's hitting you and then moving more. You see what I'm saying? So that's what makes that different. But this is what we're talking about. All of that type of movement like that. Here you have Chavez again, slipping under the shots and getting closer with his feet, using his feet to get in there. And sometimes the jab, but the right hand is always, especially for guys who are moving, a weapon, but not the weapon to just try to knock you out. It's to get in closer. Because when you throw the right hand, you could step in. You step in, you throw the right hand, you step in, you're closer. What could follow? The left hook to the liver. Look at Chavez. Work his magic. Boom, left hook to the liver. Right hand, feint, left hook to the liver. Then a left hook to the head, right hand to the head, left hook down to the liver. Again, this is what you call breaking a guy down psychologically, because you cut the ring, you cut the distance off where he can no longer be in a position to punch you effectively. You've closed that gap, and now he has to either retreat and he's thinking about his safety and well-being, or he's just trying to cover up or tie you up or something of that nature. That's what he would do to you. Break you down mentally. These are all examples of what I'm talking about when you talk about cutting off the ring. And these men did it in an exciting manner, very effective, put people in jeopardy. Here was another one. Well, he and Meldrick Taylor, their first go around. Well, Meldrick had some of the fastest hand in boxing since Sugar Ray Leonard, a young Sugar Ray Leonard. And Meldrick was looking to throw 5 punches to Chavez 1 or 2. And he was effective at that. But he didn't move his feet. He just stayed there for the receipts. And that made it easy for Chavez, because Chavez, what he would do, and you could see it here, All of that bobbing and weaving and dipping and ducking under Meldrick's punches, it kept Meldrick right there. When Meldrick realized he didn't land a couple of those shots, why did he continue to throw 3 or 4 or 5 more? Why didn't he just step back and reassess things? That's boxing IQ 101. If you threw 2 or 3 and it didn't land, step back so you can reassess. No. And look at it. Chavez is jabbing. And when he jabs, he circles a little bit. He jabs, he hooks to the body a little bit. Constantly given an angle where Meldrick, his feet are planted. He's right there. He's right there. Chavez, all he has to do now is throw the debilitating shots. The hooks to the body, the straight right hand leads, also the hooks to the hips to make sure you don't go anywhere. Because being hit in the waist and in the hip time after time takes your legs away, and you're stuck like implanted in sand. You can't move, and then he can go to work on you. You see? Bernard Burton, what's good with you? Watcher says he hit and then get out of the way. Too much time in the firing line. Yup. Look at this. Chavez even tricked him into coming after him, and then he set him up with that big right hand. Wow. And he threw it when he saw Mel in that triangle, that where that turnbuckle and the ring post come together. He turned him out of there and threw that right hand right on his chin, and that was it. There are fighters who are smarter than you know. There are fighters who are not as smart at all than you know. It's the sweet science, man. It's the sweet science. See? But if you look at Chavez go to work, man, see how he get in close on that guy? He cut that distance down. He cut the ring off on him. Just hooking to the body, hooking to the head. When Chavez was at the lighter weight, like at the featherweight and junior lightweight, man, his hands were really fast. And he punched. He was heavy-handed, but he wasn't like a Edwin Rosario with a KO punch, but he could break you down. Debilitating shots. Look at those hooks to the liver. Look at that. He's working. You see Chavez turn him. You see the circle. Now this guy is stupid enough, again, like Taylor was, to stand in. You don't stand in like that with a guy like that. You step back. You step over to the side. You give him an angle like Sweet Pea did. Look at that. Uppercut, left hook, left hook. Uppercut, left hook, left hook. Uppercut, right hand. Breaking guys down, man. And he knew how to use his shoulder, too, on the inside. If he gets your head on one side of his shoulder, he can get the shot off. If he gets your head on the other side of the shoulder, he can turn you because he wants to get you with the left hook. It's deception. Very underrated fighter. Salvador Sanchez was a better all-round fighter, but this man was exciting to watch in the trenches because although he had a very good chin, he was crafty enough not to take a lot of flush shots. You can listen to him today. He don't sound punchy. He didn't take a lot of flush shots. He knew how to make shots glance off the glove, off the shoulder, and he could move at the waist, you know. But like Canelo likes to move at the waist, but Chavez had better footwork than Canelo. Go figure. Interesting. Interesting. That's why you watch these tapes on these fighters, man. They don't understand. Now this is a rematch here with he and Roger, you know. Well, actually the first fight with he and Roger, I think. But now you see Roger jabbing and moving, jabbing and circling, But see, you're supposed to give two different directions, especially with a guy like Chavez. You move left, then you move right. But when you move right, it's after you punch with that right hand or after you've jabbed. Because what will happen is he will keep you going in that circle and edge you over to the punch that he really wants to hit you with. That's the difference. Look at that. Wow. See, he caught Roger in between. It's a great fight, man. If you guys haven't seen this fight, go back and check it out. Chavez versus Mayweather. I mean, it was a great fight. He did a number on Roger, but it was all with skill. It was all calculating. And short shots. Watch this short shot. Watch for boom, boom. Right hand. See Chavez throw head feints. Head feints. And he's using every punch in the book. He's using left hooks. He's using right hands. He's using straight hands. He's using uppercuts. Body punches. Mixing everything in there. Wow. That's it right there. That's it, man. Richard stopped him still. He stopped a number of them. You know what I mean? Here he is against Chapo, Edwin Rosario, putting it on him. You see, look at that. Chapo tried to go out to the right. He cut the ring off on him and sent him back over to the left because he wanted him to go to the left so he can hit him with the left hook to the liver. See what I'm saying? What Chapo should have did was grab Chavez by the head, pull his head into his chest and spin him around and get back out to that center of the ring. But he's too busy trying to be macho. You have to be smart in there. You have to have, you know, ring IQ, man. See, Chapo is still against the ropes. Still against the ropes. Now he comes out to the center a little bit. But Chavez is pushing him right back to the ropes again. See that? Look at that. This is the type of thing where I tell you about when you talk about cutting the ring off. It's not just, you know, sliding over and this and that. It's by how you position him in there. And sometimes it's footwork. Sometimes it's punches. Sometimes it's a combination of the two. You see? You see the shoulder? Chapo is trying to punch out of there instead of tie up. Why are you not tying up? Because you're trying to be macho? Chavez using the shoulder. Slip the shot, hit a shot. Slip the shot, hit a shot. He's working them. Up and down like a scat player on the piano. Up and down the keys. Now see, at this point, Chapo has been so debilitated, he can't do anything but just punch back. But he can't move because his legs are gone from the beating and battering. He can't see the shots because his face is battered up and the eyes nearly closing. It's just a matter of time now. And look at Chavez go to work. Shots up and down, up and down. See, Richard still steps in. So, this is what we're talking about. When you see a man able to work those keys like that, and when I say keys, I'm talking about the numbers and combinations. When he's able to do those things, this is what we're talking about. See those shots? Short shots. Up and under, up and under, up and under. Shoulder, up and under. And see, the guy can't get out of there because he's keeping him. He's got his footwork masterful. Left and right, left to right. he could step over with either shot. If he steps over to the right, he's going to use the left shoulder. If he steps over to the left, he's going to use the right hook and the right uppercut. Very smart man. Very smart. That's right, Watcher. Absolutely. That's why I respect Kenny. Kenny, I've said this before about Kenny Porter, man. I would love to sit down and have a conversation with him, because I think that we'll be like two peas in a pod with our philosophy on boxing, man. Kenny Porter is a very smart boxing trainer. He knows exactly what he's doing out there, man. He knows. You know, even if Sean isn't capable of doing whatever he needs him to do or what he's asking of him or whatever, it doesn't mean that Kenny doesn't have a sound mind when it comes to delivering instructions and strategy. Now, this is when Chavez was really young, and he's over there in the, I think that's the featherweight division. Look at him. See how he keep the pressure on the guy? Chavez is within the range that Chavez is comfortable with a punch, but not in the opponent's distance, because the opponent can't get the same leverage on the shots. There's Richard Stop him Still again. Man, Richard Steele stopped a lot of fights in his career. He probably stopped more fights than any referee in history, man. That's what my partner used to call him, Richard Stop him Still. He used to always look at Jimmy Lennon Jr. when he was real young. He looked like what's his name? The blonde guy with the funny nose, the actor. Dang, can't think of his name right now. Dang, but he looked like him. This is Chavez and Ramirez. This is a fight that I've put on for the homework assignment. A tremendous fight between these two guys. Jose Luis Ramirez and Julio Cesar Chavez. A classic fight. Look at that right hand. Woo! Short. That should have been scored a knockdown, and it wasn't. So Chavez resort to whooping on him some more. And Richard Steele right there in the midst. Owen Wilson. There you go, iceberg nerd. That's what you look like, Owen Wilson. I couldn't think of his name, man. Thank you for that, iceberg nerd. Look just like Owen Wilson. Oh, man. That's his daddy. But look at Chavez, man. Ramirez was a very fine champion. He had been champion a long time till Pernell Whitaker whooped his butt. But they gave him the decision over Whitaker in Whitaker's 15th professional fight. It should have gone to because they wanted this fight between these two guys. But yeah, this is one of those situations where you had two very good Mexican fighters with their styles that differed. Now, Chavez was more of a boxer puncher. Ramirez was more of a a seek and destroy type fighter, but he couldn't seek and destroy Chavez. Chavez was seeking to destroy him. Yeah, Richard Steele, man, he stopped so many fights in boxing history. They need to look that number up. Somebody need to look that number up. How many fights were stopped when Richard Steele refereed them? Probably got the most stoppages in history, man. Have to question that. When I see a guy. Gregory X, my brothers out there, says, greeting brothers and sisters, man. Greetings to you, bro. Yeah. But I'll tell you something, man. Julio Cesar Chavez was one of the best at fighting in close, cutting off the ring on fighters. And this is he against Hector Camacho. Now, everybody knows how Camacho liked to move, right? Camacho had very fleet of foot. And early in the fight, Camacho tried to stay in the center of the ring. But Julio stopped all of that foolishness. See that left hook to the liver? followed by that right hook to the head. Look at where Hector is. Why isn't Hector in the center of the ring? Because Chavez wouldn't let him be in the center of the ring. See, he's got him in the danger zone right there, right in there, in that area. Now, Hector's trying to walk him out to the center of the ring. But what he does is backs right back up into that area that we talk about. See, that's different, man. That's what I'm talking about. But this is what it is, man. I tell you, but all you have to do is understand that it takes a little bit of will, it takes a little bit of technical capability and know-how, and you have to have the tools. You have to have the boxing tools to be able to throw the punches that are necessary to get the desired effect. Cut the ring off. Essential stuff there, man. Essential stuff. But yep, this is what it is. Now, I want to thank all of you out there that came in this evening to listen to Stormy B Man on this Tuesday Tussle, talking about cutting off the ring. I gave you examples of it with Hagler and Chavez, two of the best to do it. And I had a few more I could have shown, some Tyson and again Marciano in it. But it's like it's not so much about showing you so many, but just showing you effectively what we're talking about here and how to apply it with that visual of understanding that fighter could do what was necessary. But yeah, I appreciate everybody that came out this evening. This is Stormy B Man. I'm gonna get on out of here. You guys can go and check out, whoever else is live at this time. I'm very gracious that you guys came to listen to me with what I had to offer for this evening. And we'll be back next week, same time, with another Tuesday Tussle, with another subject. But I'm going to let you guys go ahead on. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of the week. And we'll catch you again soon. Peace.